Hello YouTube, my name is Melissa, and in my last video I explained the basics of the South Beach diet, Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3. In this video I would like to go into more detail on the specific foods that we are and are not allowed to have, just to help you plan around your menus better. So I'm going to start with lean protein. So lean proteins are basically chicken breast, because chicken breast has less fat than the dark meat. As for beef, you want to try to get the leanest possible cuts you can find. And if it's cheaper to get a kind that has a layer of fat on the edge, then go ahead and trim off any additional fat that you find after you get it home. Always trim off as much of the fat as you possibly can. Ground beef, it's actually better to just go ahead and get the lean ground beef. It's really not that much more expensive. And if there's a sale, go ahead and stock up on it. Since you're on a diet, it's a really good idea to separate your meat after you get home, which means take it apart while it's still soft. Take each chicken breast out and wrap it individually and freeze it. Take each steak out, wrap it individually and freeze it. Separate your hamburger into one serving or one meal sized portions and freeze them separately. This allows you to buy in bulk and get those really cheap bulk deals like at Costco, but you don't have to thaw out the whole entire thing. It's also much quicker when you're preparing your meals. The meat will thaw out faster if it's in a smaller portion and individually wrapped. Now for eggs, eggs are also a lean protein on South Beach diet. Unless otherwise directed by your doctor, you are allowed to leave the yolks in. Yolks or no yolks, you're only allowed to have 2 eggs per day. Other lean proteins are things like fish, any kind of seafood really. Pork is not generally recommended, but if you're going to eat pork, try to find the leanest possible cut. And if you're a vegetarian, you can always substitute with either beans or tofu. Vegetables for the South Beach diet are basically any vegetables that are non-starch. So that's things like lettuce, tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, asparagus, anything green, green beans, and most of your other green vegetables that you find in the grocery aisle. At least a half a cup of non-starch vegetables is recommended for breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the South Beach plans. However, you can have more than half a cup if you're a really hearty vegetable eater. These vegetables are pretty much a free food. You can also count mushrooms into this variety. And a handful of cherry tomatoes makes a wonderful snack if you're really hungry and don't want to pile on the calories. Now for fruit. For the first 2 weeks on the South Beach plan, basically Phase 1, you're not going to be eating fruit yet, and the reason for that is you're trying to basically detox your body from your sugar cravings. And sometimes fruit can trigger sugar cravings. Once you start Phase 2 after those first 2 weeks, you can go ahead and add some nice low sugar fruits. Examples are berries, also kiwi, peaches. One fruit that you might not want to introduce yet, at least not until Phase 3, is probably bananas, because their sugar content is really the highest. For Phase 2, which is most of your weight loss phase, you really want to stick to the fruits that you see in this picture. And also keep to your portion controls. It may seem crazy because fruit is a natural snack, but despite being a healthy alternative to many other evils, fruit does contain sugar. It's a natural sugar, but basically any sugar is a natural sugar. If you were to eat a really large bowl of fruit, you could still gain weight from all the natural sugar. The good news is fruit is pretty filling and it has plenty of fiber. Now as for those snacks that you're allowed to have, you can have lean protein and vegetables, or you can have some low-fat or fat-free dairy, such as milk, yogurt, or cheese. Again, make sure that your yogurt is fat-free, plain yogurt. Don't get flavored. If you get the kind with lemon flavoring or vanilla flavoring, turn it around and look on the back. You're going to see that it's got some kind of sweetener in it, especially high fructose corn syrup or any kind of fructose really. That is basically a sugar. You want to make sure that it's plain. Now, a lot of people say they don't like plain yogurt, but there's a way around that. You can flavor up your own yogurt at home. What you do is you get some flavor extract, like strawberry, vanilla, or banana extract, any flavor you like really. There's even chocolate extract. And you add it to your yogurt. Then you can sweeten it. Some people like to use something like Splenda or Sweet and Low. I personally prefer stevia because it's a little more natural. But if you mix up a little drop of flavor extract with a low-calorie sweetener, you can have some pretty good tasting yogurt. I generally don't recommend buying the little cups of yogurt from the store, like Dannon and Yoplait, because they generally have a lot of sugar in them, and that's really going to slow your weight loss down. And those desserts that I talked about, You can make your own frozen yogurt, or you can have some no sugar added Fudgsicle Pops. Those are delicious. I always keep them in my freezer. You can also pick from a variety of sugar-free candies. But again, stick to portion control. Don't eat big heaping handfuls of them. Just have 1 or 2 pieces. Those are excellent dessert ideas. You'll notice on the South Beach menu video I did that with certain meals you're allowed to have a serving of a healthy fat or oil. So if you like butter, you could try one of the Smart Balance or any heart-healthy spread, really. But also another healthy fat is olive oil or canola oil. These are great for sautéing your food or making your own homemade salad dressings. Some people even use avocado to make a nice creamy dressing, or chop up avocado over their salad. That's another good choice for a healthy fat. Avocado is good for your heart. Now, as for starches and carbs, you do get to have carbs on the South Beach diet during Phase 2 and Phase 3. However, it depends what kind of starch and carbs it is. You want to go for the red potatoes, for brown rice instead of white. An even better substitute for potatoes is sweet potatoes. I know it sounds crazy because it sounds like they have a lot of natural sugar in them, but they're actually better for you than regular potatoes. Make sure you follow your portion control though. Now for grains, we're talking bread, pasta, cereals. Make sure that the box says 100% whole wheat. If you're using cereals, you want the old-fashioned rolled oats because they have a lower glycemic index number. Also the shredded wheat or any cereals that you eat should say 100% whole wheat or whole grain. Breads, same as the pasta. It should say 100% whole wheat or multigrain. I like the 15-grain bread. The more grains, the better. Now if you're going whole wheat instead of multigrain, again, you want the 100% whole wheat, because if it says anything less than 100% whole wheat, like for example it just said made with whole wheat, that means that probably half of it is white flour, so you want to stay away from that. Nuts. You can have nuts as one of your snacks, but you've got to watch portion control, so maybe just a couple of tablespoons. And another trick that you want to watch out for is if you've got a very slow thyroid, you might want to avoid peanuts, because peanuts basically have something called goitrogens in them, and that can slow down your thyroid and slow down your weight loss. Try cashews, almonds, hazelnuts, or even macadamia nuts. Another great tip is there are plenty of products on the market today that are South Beach friendly. South Beach teamed up with Kraft Foods to create all kinds of little cookies and bars, trail mixes, chocolate-covered treats, even with planters for nut mixes. Cereals, again, anything that says 100% whole wheat, whole grain, or multigrain. And of course, no sugar. These should be an occasional treat. You shouldn't eat them every day, because among the lower glycemic index carbs and starches, grains, even 100% whole grain and multigrain, still have a higher glycemic index number than something like, say, brown rice. Now let's talk about some of the cereals that you want to avoid. All of these that you see here, they are very, very high in sugar and or processed carbohydrate. They do advertise that they're made with whole grain, but like I said before, if it doesn't say 100%, then it's probably got some white starches added to it. So you want to stick with the more healthy options and avoid the processed, over-advertised ones. Another thing to really watch out for is things that claim to be healthy when really they're not. I'm sure you've seen some of these products on the market, fat-free, low-fat, low sugar, but remember, if they're low fat, it's probably because they have added sugar. If they're low sugar, it's probably because they have added carbohydrates or fat. And of course, most of these, especially the cookies and grains, have white flour as at least half of their ingredient. So honestly, they're quite high on the glycemic index. Also, the baked and fat-free chips are loaded with sodium. If you really want something like chips, you can go to the health food sections and get some sweet potato chips. Or you can try Triscuits. Well, I hope this helped to shed some light on the kinds of foods that are and are not allowed on South Beach Diet. Please comment, rate, subscribe, and visit my blog, which is in the link below the video. Thank you for watching and have a great day.